Hey, greetings! Michael Didier here. We're about to finish the Torah. Deuteronomy. We may make it through the end of Deuteronomy. We're going to cover chapter 32 today at the very least. If not, we're going to cover it next week, the rest of it next week, and then we're going to also do some Yasher. All right, well, let's do a quick review of some of the things that we covered last week. There are some things that we said, that I would like to clarify and also reinforce some things that we had looked at last week. The very first thing was this whole idea of the two covenants. Why is there two covenants? These are the words of the covenant which Jehovah commanded Moses to make with Israel's seed in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Besides? How many covenants can we have? And can one covenant supersede the other? Because we are seeing that there are lots of problems in Deuteronomy that flat out transgress the other covenant. I don't think that's acceptable. Well, let's continue. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and I've often said, it's just not clear. It's not clear. It's not crisp. Deuteronomy is not crisp in the things that it says. Here's a great example. It says, I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Who's I? Is it Yehovah? Is it Moses? I tend to think that they meant Moses, but look at what it says. I led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out, and your sandals have not worn out on your feet. Moses can't do that. Yehovah does that. He finishes by saying, I am Yehovah, your Elohim. But look what it says here, 26:6 or 29:6. You have not eaten bread, nor have you drunk wine or similar drink, that you may know that I am Yehovah, thy Elohim. We haven't eaten bread for 40 years. We didn't use that bread or manna to make bread. You know, I had to think, are there vendors, caravans that are supplying Israel during this 40 years in the wilderness? I would have to think they are. We had money. We took a lot of money from Egypt, didn't we? Were there vendors that came to us, caravans that came to us to give us things like bread and wine? I would think there'd have to be. When we went through the land of, Yehovah even said it, we'll pay for the bread, we'll pay for the water, the food and the water. If we eat anything in your land, we're talking about the land of Moab and the land of Esau. Esau wouldn't let us go through, remember. So here it seems to be Yehovah speaking. I have led you through the wilderness 40 years. But then he goes, why does it say, that you may know that I am Yehovah, your Elohim? That's where it's confusing. So I say it's not crisp. The very next verse, and when you came to this place, Sihon, king of Heshbon, Og, king of Bashan, came to us to battle, and we conquered them. Yes, Moses did fight with us. We saw that in Yasher. So is it Moses talking? Is it Yehovah talking? I mentioned this last week, and I noticed it last week for the first time. I wanted to clarify it and give you a better understanding of what I was trying to tell you. It's called a chiasm. Look what it says here today, or look what it says here. It says, all of you stand today before Yehovah, your Elohim. Your leaders. Who's the your he's talking about? Your leaders and your tribe. No, it's your tribe's heads. The heads of your tribe. Your tribe's captains is what we're talking about. But here's the point that I wanted to make. Look, it says leaders, elders, officers. They are all your leaders, your officers, your heads, and your tribes. Yeah, it doesn't even make sense. It's got to be the heads of your tribes. The heads of your tribes. your captains. Maybe I don't need to have your tribe's captains. I'm trying to do this so that it makes more sense to you. Your captains, your elders, your officers. Who's the your that we're talking about? It's the center of this chiasm. This, if you put a line from A to E and E to A, you're going to cross right where it's all about that man. Who's it about? Israel's seed, the men of Israel, all Israel's men. Then it says, and again, it's not crisp. It says, your little ones. Do all the men have little ones? Not necessarily. Do all the men have women? Not necessarily. How come it says your little ones and your women? How come it doesn't say thy little ones and thy women? We're going to the bottom now. These are all the men. These are all the ones that follow the men. The ones up top are all the ones that the men follow. You see what I'm saying? We follow the heads of our tribes. We follow our captains. We follow our elders. We follow our officers. And our little ones and our women and our ger and thy male and thy female servant, they all follow us. It's chiasm. It's really quite interesting to see things like this. We've seen it many times in the Torah. All right. Wanted to have you see what the chiasm looks like that we talked about last week. Next, we talked about a root bearing bitterness, wormwood, in our camp. These were men, women, family, tribe whose hearts turn away from Yahovah, our Elohim, and serve, how did we say it? And serve the Goyim's Elohim. The Elohim, the lawmakers and judges of the world. That is bitterness. That is wormwood for us. It's going to be a plague in our camp. There's probably a better word besides plague. But in a sense, a plague is going to bring destruction, isn't it? And that's exactly what this is. Following other Elohim, we're talking about Christianity. The Catholic Church gave us this man, Yeshua, and told us he was Yahovah. We're going to follow him now. We're going to throw away all the things that we've learned in Torah, how a man becomes a ger and how the ger becomes the Ezrach. We're going to throw it all away. And we're going to follow this guy Jesus, Yeshua. No, folks, we've learned lies. That is the bitterness. That's the wormwood, the root of bearing bitterness and the wormwood that gets into our midst and pulls us down to destruction. You know, we have how many people around the world that are trusting in Jesus for their Savior? We're going to see who the Savior is today. We'll talk about that. The root of thy salvation, who is it? It's Jehovah. This man says, and so it may be when he hears the words of this curse that he blesses himself in his heart. Blesses himself, not Jehovah. I shall have peace even though I follow the dictates of my own heart. Do we not understand that the heart is deceitful above all things, desperately wicked? He says, as if a drunkard could it be included with the sober. Yeah, that's how bad this is, to have someone speak like this. To speak against Jehovah's word. I won't get any curses. I can do what I want. I believe in Jesus. Folks, you're going to be destroyed. Put away your foreign Elohim. And you know, that's not just Yeshua. You know, there's a lot of people out there, they don't believe in Jesus, but they're still following the elohim of the land. It's just as bad. The Christians follow all the elohim and Yeshua. All the nations would say. We're not among the nations. They're talking about us because we have forsaken Yahovah. Then the people would say, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahovah, their father's Elohim. No, you can't be numbered among the world's people, the Goyim's people, and be Yahovah's people. Well, let's continue. We'll look to the next chapter. I got to move along. Let's see. And Yahovah, your Elohim, will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love Yahovah, your Elohim, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Well, I'm not prepared to review this chapter. Let's go to the next chapter. I had some things set aside that I want to talk about here. Look at this. Deuteronomy 31. It starts with Moses saying this. And he said to them, I am 120 years old today. I can no longer go out and come in. Does that sound like a healthy man? Also, Yahovah said to me, you shall not cross over the Jordan. Look at this. He says, Yahovah, thy Elohim himself, crosses over before thee. Same verse. Joshua himself crosses over before thee. Do you hear that? What Joshua is doing is what Yahovah is doing. Joshua, Yahovah's Shalach, represents Yahovah. He's going to lead the people just as Yahovah leads the people. It's a beautiful picture. Then he tells the people, be strong and of good courage. He then tells Joshua, be strong and of good courage. He's going to use Joshua to fulfill his word, to bring us into the land and to give us the land. Who gets the land? Israel's seed gets the land. The Ger dwell with Israel's seed. The ladies don't get the land. The ladies are owned by the men who get the land. He talks about in the year of release, every 7 years, at Sukkot, at the Feast of Tabernacles is what we're talking about. All the ladies are going to join us. Remember, 3 times a year, all your males appear before Yahovah. But once every 7 years, the ladies are commanded, we're still commanded, but we're commanded to bring the ladies, the little ones, the stranger who is within your gates. I often wonder if it's going to be the male and the female servants. I don't think it is. I think that they're going to be back taking care of animals. Here again, and Jehovah said to Moses, behold, thou wilt rest with thy fathers, and this people will rise and play the harlot with the foreign land's Elohim. The foreign land's Elohim. Where they go to be among them. And they will forsake me and break my covenant which I have made with them. You know, this is what's going on. This is what the Song of Moses is all about. To remind us about this. We were his people. We forsook him and followed the Elohim of the foreign lands. The lawmakers and judges of the foreign lands. Now therefore, write down this song for yourselves and teach it to Israel's seed. He's speaking to the elders, telling them to teach it to Israel's seed. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against Israel's seed. B'nai Israel. You know, this is one of 8 times, maybe 10 times. I think there's 2 in one verse, and the 8 times didn't count the 2 times that it's in one verse, like this verse. So let's say there's 10 times in all of Deuteronomy that it talks about Israel's seed. All the rest of the time it talks about Yahovah thy Elohim. Still talking about the same group of people who call Yahovah their Elohim. That's Israel's seed, is the only ones who call Yahovah their Elohim. Here he's talking specifically about Israel's seed. B'nai Israel. This song is a witness against B'nai Israel. Here we have it again down here. Then it shall be, when many evils and troubles have come upon them, that this song will testify against them as a witness. For it will not be forgotten in the mouths of their seed. Their seed, we're talking about men. For I know the inclination of their behavior today, even before I have brought them to the land which I swore to them. Yeah, he's saying if you're not, they're disobedient even when they're with me. They're going to be worse when they're without me. Therefore Moses wrote the song. This it is. Therefore Moses wrote this song the same day, and taught it to Israel's seed. The song is for Israel's seed. Here is the song that we're going to go through today. Give ear, it says, O heavens, and I will speak. Hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. You know, I looked at this. It has definite articles before the heavens, and it has a definite article before the earth. They say, O earth. So I always like to try and figure out, how can we understand this verse using the definite articles? Here's what I put together. I will speak, and the heavens listen. The earth hears my mouth's words. They say the words of my mouth. No definite article there, but they put it in. They take it out and put it in. I like to try and get back to the original writings as much as I can, because I've found often that I get better understandings, deeper understandings, if I can put the emphasis where it's supposed to be. If it says the Elohim, let's not read it as Elohim. If it says Elohim on the mountain, but it really says the Elohim on the mountain, let's get it right, because it's not about the mountain, it's about the Elohim, isn't it? The heavens listen. The earth hears. Will we? Heaven and earth, the heavens and the earth, are going to be witnesses against us, for good or for evil. Listen to this next verse. He says, let my teachings drop as rain. Remember, rain is to bring growth to the earth. My speech distills as the dew, as raindrops on tender herb, on the tender herb, and showers on the grass. Isn't that a beautiful metaphor? My words distill as dew. You know, dew just appears. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to manifest the words of Yahovah on the earth. Let my teachings drop. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahovah. Let my teachings drop as rain. We will not live without these teachings. He says, for I proclaim the name of Yahovah. Ascribe greatness to our Elohim, our lawmaker and judge. Our lawmaker and judge is Yahovah. Ascribe greatness to Yahovah's name is what it says. I proclaim Yahovah's Shem, his name. Ascribe greatness to our Elohim. Our. Who's the our? Who's speaking? It's Moses. The our is Moses and Israel's seed. He is the rock. Really just says, the rock. I think he is. It fits well. He is the rock. It says his work is perfect. For all his ways are justice. Listen to what he says. A faithful El, without wickedness, righteous and upright. That's what we're supposed to be. A people, a faithful people, without wickedness, righteous and upright. That's how Yahovah is. I put Yahovah lives according to his own word, just as his sons are supposed to. But now, look at the next verse. So interesting, the contrast. He says, ruined to him, as any woman who has been with another man. Ruined to him. That's what we are. They are not his sons. Remember, it's talking to who? Israel's seed. They're supposed to be his sons. This is the song of Moses written to Israel's seed. They are not his sons. They are a blemished generation. Moms. Defects. A generation of moms. Distorted and crooked. Look what it said. A faithful El without wickedness. Righteous and upright is he. A blemished generation, distorted and crooked. We don't want to be like that. We won't live if we're going to be like that. That's what the song's about. I put the Christians, the Jews, the Messianics, and all those who give a false and distorted light into the world are mum. You can't give a false light into the world. Yahovah won't stand for it. What is it? Destruction begins in the house of Yahovah. Judgment begins in the house of Yahovah. Actually, this is Deuteronomy. Then it shall be when many evils and troubles have come upon them, that this song will testify against them as a witness. For it will not be forgotten in the mouths of his seed. His seed. Oh, isn't that beautiful? His seed, the mouth of his seed. His seed is Israel's seed, spiritually born seed. Remember, his seed were his kind. Yahovah's spirit. These men are spirit. These words are not to be forgotten in the words of his spiritual men. For I know the inclination in their behavior today, even before I have brought them to the land which I swore to give them. Verse 6. Do thou thus. Let me just read it down here. Is this thy repayment to Yahovah, thou stupid and wicked people? Is he not thy father, who created thee, made thee, and established thee? Created thee. You know, he's created all men and women. But he's made Israel's seed. He makes them his Ezra men at Passover. We'll see this many times. We'll see it today. Made thee and established thee. He's establishing us. He's brought us out of Egypt. He's made us just before we came out of Egypt. And now he's going to establish us in our land, just as he promised our fathers. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. This is cool. Many generations. Door. Door, here's what door means. Revolution of time. Here, I'll show it over here. Revolution of time. Door. Many generations. Kind of like ish. All men, many men. Kodesh, Kodeshim. Most holy. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee. What will they tell us? When the Most High divided their inheritance to the nations. When he separated, here, let's talk about what this says. Adam's seed, talking about the men of the flesh. He set the people's boundaries according to the number of Israel's seed. Isn't that interesting? When did this happen? When the Most High divided their inheritance to the nations. Has it happened yet? Maybe it hasn't happened yet. Divided their inheritance to the nations. Their inheritance. Was this Israel's seed's inheritance that they lost their seed? Divided to the nations? I have to think maybe this is Babel. Could this be Babel when the earth was divided? Here's Genesis 11:9. Therefore its name is called Babel, because there Jehovah confused the languages of the earth, and from there Jehovah scattered them abroad over the face of the earth. Is this what he's talking about, perhaps? Did it according to the number of Israel's seed? There wasn't any Israel's seed at that point. There was men who were following Jehovah, but they weren't called Israel yet. Always trying to put the rest of the story together. It's not that easy sometimes. For Jehovah's portion is his people. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Jehovah's portion is his people. Jacob is the place of his inheritance. He found him in the desert and in the wasteland, a howling wilderness. That's where we're all right now, in the wasteland, in a howling wilderness. It says he encircled him. Actually, it doesn't say encircled. It says he instructed him and kept him as the apple of his eye. Jehovah's portion is his people. Remember, we talked about just a moment ago, his seed. Jehovah's seed, his seed. Jehovah has seed. He has sons. Oh man, we want to make Jesus the Son of God. No, we have many sons of Elohim. His people, his sons. For Jehovah's portion is his people. Jacob is the receiver of his inheritance. Jacob is going to receive the inheritance. They put Jacob is in the place of his inheritance. No, Jacob is going to receive his inheritance. The heir is the one who's going to get the land that Jehovah is going to give to us. Jehovah's portion. Everything's his. There's one thing that's not his. It's the men. Look at this. Nothing else but Jehovah's people have value to him. That's his portion. He already owns it all. But he can't make anyone love him. He can destroy those who don't. But he can't make anyone love him. Talking about his people. His people are not numbered among the nations. For from the top of the rock I see him. From the hills I behold him there. A people dwelling alone, not reckoning itself among the nations. The Yehovah's portion is his people. Remember, we're talking about his segula, his special treasure. Yehovah's portion is his people. Those are the spiritually born men. He found him in the desert. And in a wasteland, a howling desert, he led them and instructed them. He found him in the desert, in a wasteland and howling wilderness. He led him, he instructed him, he kept him as the apple of his eye. These are people who left Egypt. These are not the Egyptians. These are the people who left Egypt. He says, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians. How I bore them, that I'm reading on the right. You shall see what I've done to the Egyptians. How I bore you on eagles. How I bore you, Israel's seed, on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. It's Deuteronomy 19. This is the segula portion. Here's another beautiful metaphor. As an eagle stirs up its nest, hovers over its young, spreading out its wings, taking them up, carrying them up on its wings. This is what's going on with Yehovah for his people. So Yehovah alone led him. And there was no foreign elohim among him. Foreign elohim, here's the word. No foreign El with him. Nakar El Nakar, foreign El. No foreign lawmakers or judges with him. Him, Israel's seed. He made him ride on the heights of the earth, that he might eat the produce of the fields. He made him draw honey from the rock and oil from the flinty rock. Did we ever draw honey from the rock? Oil from the flinty rock? I don't think so. Is this talking about the future? I think this is the provision we can expect from Yehovah in the coming wilderness. Also, he made him draw honey from the rock and oil from the flinty rock. Curds from the cattle and milk from the flocks. Can we go deeper into that? We're not supposed to drink the milk of cows, but we can drink the milk of sheep and goats, the flocks. I don't know. It says curds of cattle, cottage cheese, and milk from flocks. He talks about with the fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan. These are the things that we're eating. And goats. They put with the fat of lambs and rams. Well, rams are sheep. So what are we talking about? I think we're talking about female and male sheep. With the fat of female and male sheep. The fat's what's going to go to Yehovah. The meat's going to go to us. With the choicest wheat. And you drank wine, the blood of the grapes. Butter of the herd. Milk of the flocks. The fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats. With the finest wheat and the blood of the grapes, thou drank wine, vino. Look what it says. This is Isaiah 25. And in the mountain, Jehovah of hosts will make for all the peoples, a feast of choice pieces, a feast of wine on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of well-refined wines on the lee. The lee is what's at the bottom of the wine when the wine is fermented. You always buy your apple cider with the lee at the bottom of it. The mother, they call it. It's the lees. Same thing with wine, only wine is filtered. But Yeshurun grew fat. So this is all the good things that have been happening to us. But Yeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxed fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook Elohim who made him. Forsook Elohim who made him, oh man, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. Who's the rock of our salvation? Israel? Yeshua? No, Yehovah. Yehovah doesn't change. His word endures forever. Yeshurun, I'll go back to my default, is a poetic name for Israel. They say the people of Israel, and I think it throws us off. This is the dictionaries. They don't know who Israel is. They don't know it's Ezra, the Ezra men. It's Israel. Used in token of affection. Remember, his segula, his precious people. Yeshurun. They grew fat. They grew thick and obese. They forsook the Elohim who made them, there it is, made them, and scornfully esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy. How? They made him jealous with Zurim. Oh, isn't that interesting? Zurim. Not even foreign Elohim, with Zurim. Foreign men. Something that's not supposed to be there. With abominations, they made me angry. He's going to talk with what those abominations are. Oh my gosh, look what the first one is. You guys, we just don't understand it. Strange and profane things. Strange and profane. This is the Zorim. But we're talking about Elohim. Elohim. They provoked him to jealousy with strange and profane Elohim. Zorim, Elohim. Zor oftentimes gets translated as stranger. Here it gets translated as foreign. I guess that's not too bad. With abominations, they provoked him to anger. What kind of abominations did they do? Look at the very first one. Israel, who are now following other Elohim, have moved me to jealousy. They provoked me to jealousy, it says in 16. By what is not Elohim? The Zor are not Elohim. The Zorim are not Elohim. They have moved me to anger with their emptiness. What's the word they use for their emptiness? Ka'as. And I will move them to jealousy by those who are not a people. Remember, Yehovah is his people, but these are not a people. And I will move them to anger with a wicked nation. The wicked nation is not a people. We're supposed to be his people. Their Zor are leading them in a way they should not go. Verse 17. abominations, they provoked him to anger. Oh my goodness. They sacrificed to demons, it says here in my New King James Version. The word is they slaughtered to demons. Slaughtered is the things that we eat. They slaughtered to demons, not Eloah. To Elohim they knew not. New Elohim who had come up lately, which your fathers did not fear. Slaughtered to demons. You know, this is exactly what we saw in Leviticus 17. Slaughtered to demons. Oh, I wish they had something besides this word demons. Maybe it's just the translators and they can't even fathom what it is we're talking about. We're certainly talking about something that's not Elohim, not Eloah. Let's look at that Eloah. I want you to see that. Not, here's the not. Eloah. Not a deity. Not God. Maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe that's why they use the devil. To Elohim they knew not. I mean, just saying Elohim they knew not is kind of gives us the opposite of it, doesn't it? I'm going to be really bold. If you are eating meat bought from the store, you are eating meat slaughtered to demons. Other Elohim, we don't know. You know, we could take out not Eloah, and we could read it like this. They slaughtered to demons, to Elohim they knew not. There you go. Does that help understand it a little bit more? To lawmakers and judges we knew not. Our meat is slaughtered in accordance with the Elohim's statutes and judgments of the land. Israel, it appears to me, and I can show you it many, many times in the scriptures, slaughters their own meat. The meat that Israel eats is the meat that Israel kills. Eating meat killed any other way. You know, we looked at kosher meat, Chris and I. We've heard places. They slaughter, and the meat, because it's so mass slaughtered, the blood doesn't go into the ground. It goes in containers. What happens to the containers? Well, maybe the slaughtered one does finally go into the ground, but that's not what Jehovah says. It appears to me that Israel slaughters their own meat. They eat their own meat. Is that too hard for us to understand? I know it's inconvenient. And as a result, I haven't had meat for years, other than my Passover lamb that I do every year. Can't afford it. But these demons are the Elohim whose statutes they slaughtered too. This is who we're talking about. They slaughtered to demons, to Elohim they knew not. This is what Leviticus 17 is all about, and why I wrote a 10-part series on this subject. You can find it here. Clean food, it starts right down here. Meat slaughtered to idols. Sacrifice to idols. You know, you just can't even see it. You can't see it. When Jehovah says, create in me a clean heart, forgive the blood guiltiness, all the blood that is on me. He's talking about this very thing. All the blood. The blood is on us because we're eating the meat that is slaughtered to other Elohim. Oh, it's everywhere in the scriptures once you begin to understand it. And here, the very first thing we're going to talk about. You know, remember, even in the New Testament, it was James who was talking about circumcision and whether we're supposed to circumcise the new believers, the Ger, who are joining us. And he said there was 5 things that we were supposed to do. And the very first one was don't eat meat slaughtered to slaughtered to idols. Get you kicked out of Israel. Then he talked about things strangled, eating blood, sexual immorality, and keeping the Sabbath. But the very first one was meat slaughtered to Elohim. Other Elohim. They call it idols, devils. You know, you don't see it when you look at that. But I think it's interesting that it was Eloah and devils, true deities versus devils. Maybe that's why they used devils, because they were going to use Eloah in conjunction with that rather than Elohim. But then it says the 2 Elohim who we knew not. Oh my. So interesting. He goes on, Song of Moses. Yeshua and Gruvat provoked him to jealousy with other Elohim. No, it's Zarim. With abominations, they provoked him to anger. Here's the first abomination. In fact, this looks like the main one that they're talking about. They slaughtered to demons, to Elohim they knew not, to new Elohim that had come up lately, which your fathers did not fear. Of the rock, who begat you, the rock who bore you. Thou art unmindful, and have forgotten the El who gave thee birth, the El who fathered thee. This is talking about the second birth, not the first birth. This is the second birth, the spiritual birth. Jehovah's seed is Jehovah's firstborn son. Let my son go that he may serve me. You know, I thought about this. It reminded me of Daniel 2. You watched while a stone, a chip off the old rock. Here it is. We're talking about the rock who bore thee. We are a chip off the old rock. Instead of a chip off the old block, we're a chip off the old rock, who is cut out without hands. No hands needed to create us. Jehovah made us, which struck the image. Remember, this is the image of gold and silver and bronze and iron and clay. Oh, here's right here. Which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, the gold were crushed together and became like chaff from the summer threshing floor. The wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Those that we serve now are going to serve us. We have forgotten the Elohim who fathered us. And when Jehovah saw it, he spurned them, us, because of the provocations of his sons and his daughters. I put his daughters. How does his daughters fit into it? Here's how it fits into it. Remember, as bone of a man's bone, what a man's woman does, he does. They take the sin on them. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end will be. For they are a perverse generation. Look what it says. Sons in whom is no faith. Not daughters. Sons in whom is no faith. They have provoked me to jealousy by what is not Elohim. Yes, we've been following other Elohim, other lawmakers and judges. They have moved me to anger by their foolish idols. But I will provoke them to jealousy by those who are not a nation, not a... Look it up. They, Israel's seed, are now following other Elohim. They've moved me to jealousy by what is not Elohim. They have moved me to anger with their emptiness. I will move them to jealousy by those who are not a people. Not a people. They put not a nation, not a people. Remember, we're supposed to be his people, who are not a people. I will move them to anger with a wicked nation. They put foolish nation. This color is actually wrong. This is the one I reserved for when it's not supposed to be there at all. This is actually supposed to be there. It's just it's called people, not nation. The second one you can translate as nation, a foolish goy. There it is. A wicked goy. A wicked nation. He goes on. Remember, this is to remind us. You guys, look how far we have fallen. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn to the lowest hell. It shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. This is all talking about latter-day things. I put a metaphor? No, it looks like an actual fire that's going to consume them. I will heap disasters on them. I will spend my arrows on them. Again, speaking for Yahovah. They shall be wasted with hunger, devoured by pestilence and bitter destruction. I will also send against them the teeth of beasts. Remember, this is Israel's seed. These are the ones who have left their Elohim, their true Elohim, and served other Elohim. Elohim their fathers did not know. Slaughtered to other Elohim. The sword shall destroy outside. There shall be terror within for the young man and virgin. Well, actually it says a young man. Now let me go here first. They will be wasted by hunger. Here, this is Leviticus. I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your sons, destroy your livestock, and make you few in number, and your highway shall be desolate. Your highways shall be desolate. It says, for a young man and a virgin, an unmarried man, and an intact, an unspoiled woman is what we're talking about. The sword shall destroy outside. There shall be terror within for a young man and an intact, an unspoiled woman. Must be a nursing child and a man with gray hairs. They're adding the. Again, the definite article, they're adding it when they're not supposed to add it. Here we must ask ourselves, why does it not say young men why does it not say young man and young woman? And where are the old women? Why does it not say young man and young women? They're saying virgin. And where are the old women? Yeah, they don't even say anything about the old women, do they? The ones who are not intact, I guess. Let's move on. I would have said, I will dash them. I said, I would scatter them afar. You know what? When you see my translations like this that don't necessarily follow, now this happens to be American Standard Version, but if it doesn't have an ASV or some other version on it, it's my translation. Look it up. You'll see that what I'm saying is accurate. I said I would scatter them afar. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from men. Wow, has that happened for many, many years? Who is I? This is the song of Moses that is being said by Israel. Is this I, possibly each one of them acting as a shalach for Yehovah who is speaking? I seems to be a different voice than we have heard until now. But the verse does say I said. It does say I said. Were it not for concern that their adversary, uplifted in their pride and vexation, saying, our hand is strong, Yehovah has not done this. Oh, so what's going on? They're saying, the wicked people are saying that we did this, we destroyed them. Our hand is strong. Yehovah has nothing to do with this. Yehovah says, for they are goy, void of counsel, nor is there understanding in them. We're talking about Israel's seed. They are goy, void of counsel, nor is there understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise. Oh, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. Does anybody consider their latter end? We live for today. Oh, we want to have those hamburgers. Oh, we want to have all those things that the world has, the world that's getting destroyed. But we do not consider, oh, that they would consider their latter end. La karatam, to their end. Isn't this true? Most people are pragmatists and live only for today. But they fail to see the big picture. They live well today and perish for eternity. They do not look to their end. Their end. You know, the wise man, here it's talking about the wise man. Oh, that they were wise. Isn't that what it said? Yeah. Oh, that they were wise. Oh, that they understood this. That they would consider their latter end. We lack wisdom. We haven't been taught. We've never gotten the knowledge. How can we be wise? We've never got the knowledge. We've never got the understanding. That's why I teach. To help you see these things. That they would consider their latter end. How could one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight unless their rock had sold them? Yes. Right now the world is chasing 1,000. Two are putting 10,000 to flight. And Yehovah has surrendered them. and 2 put 10,000 of them. Harlot Israel. This is what we're talking about. Harlot Israel are being put to flight unless their rock had sold them and Jehovah gave them up. The rock is Jehovah. For their rock is not like our rock, even our enemies themselves being their judges. Their rock is not our rock. We're talking about Israel's seed. Talking about Israel's seed. Their rock is not our rock. Even our enemies themselves being their judges. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom. Hear that? And the fields of Gomorrah, their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Remember, we got to understand there's good Israel seed that know the song, and there's bad Israel seed who don't care. Their wine is the poison of serpents and cruel venom of cobras. Is this not laid up in store with me, sealed among my treasures? He says, vengeance is mine, and recompense. Their foot shall slip in due time. What did the man say? These curses will not come upon me. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things to come hasten upon them. Oh, that they had considered their latter end. You know, we're talking about Israel's seed, who's gone away and served other elohim. How much more are the wicked going to be destroyed from the earth? This is Jeremiah. Flee from the midst of Babylon, and everyone save his life. Do not be cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Jehovah's vengeance. He shall recompense her. Vengeance is mine, and recompense. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things to come hasten upon them. For Jehovah will judge his people and have compassion on his servants. There's good people, there's bad people. He's going to have compassion on his servants when he sees that their power is gone and that there is no one remaining bond or free. He will say, where are their Elohim, the rock that they sought refuge? Who is, there's lots of people who call themselves Jehovah's people. But who's their rock? Who do they put their refuge in? Not Jehovah. Did Obama save them? The Army, the Navy, the Marines? How about PEMCO and Allstate? The Rock. That little rock. He's the big rock. Or Geico. Who do we trust for our security? Who do we serve? I'm talking to men, not ladies. Who ate the fat of their slaughters and drank the wine of their drink offering, of their nesek, no offering there. Who drank the wine of their nesek. They let them rise and help thee, and be your refuge. I don't know if it's thy refuge or your refuge, or let them try and help thee and be your refuge. I don't know if that's a thou or thee. I mean, a thou or a your. Let them rise up and help you. Yeah, it's you. It's you. It's the plural. second person plural. Talking to Israel's seed. Let them arise and help you and be your refuge. Here. Slaughters. The fat of their slaughters. This is the meat that they're eating. They shall no more offer their slaughters to demons, after whom they played the harlot. Remember, to demons. Other Elohim. Elohim to Elohim they do not know. Oh, that's a good verse to use to understand this. After whom they played the harlot. Yes, after whom they played the harlot. They play harlot with other Elohim. This shall be a statute forever for them throughout their generations. Also you shall say to them, whatever man of Israel's house, or the stranger who dwells among you, who offers olah or slaughters, and does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of meeting to offer it to Yehovah, that man shall be cut off from among his people. Now, keep in mind, we don't have a temple right now, but Yehovah says, he said it in 13 of Deuteronomy, he says, when you say, I hunger for meat, but I'm too far away, something like that. And then he says, you can slaughter the herd and the flocks as though it were an antelope or a gazelle. Just make sure that the blood gets put out on the ground. This is how we're supposed to do it today. Here's Leviticus 3. Then he shall offer the slaughter of the shalamim, an offering made by fire to Yehovah, the fat that covers the entrails and all the fat that is on the entrails. Those are the things that he's going to burn up in the fire from the slaughtered shalamim. The sacrifice of the peace offering is what they always want to call it. The words just really drive us crazy and lead us in ways we should not go. Now see that even I am he. He's the rock. There is no Elohim besides me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Nor is there anyone who can deliver from my hand. See now that I am he. It says, I am he. No Elohim with me. I kill, I make alive, I wound. Yeshua is not an Elohim. Don't go there. You're making a mistake. Here I wrote an article called, Besides Me, There Is No Elohim. Visit that link. That'll work. For I raise my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. I live forever. Yes, Father, you do. If I whet my glittering sword and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and repay those who hate me. Remember, his special treasure, his, what do they say today, his something is his people. How did that go? This is 40. His portion is his people. Yes. If I whet my glittering sword and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and repay those who hate me. He knows who hates him, the ones who won't do and obey him. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, with blood of the slain and the captives from the heads of the leaders of the enemy. Ye nations, Rejoice over his people, for he does avenge the blood of his servants. Remember, these are Avedim in this case, his Avedim, his servants, these are men, and doth render vengeance to his adversaries. He shall cover his land and his people. I said, why do the Gentiles proclaim or acclaim us? It tells us, ye nations, praise, rejoice over his people. Why would they rejoice over his people? Probably because they're going to join his people. It's where they're going to find life. And does render vengeance to his adversaries. He shall cover his land and his people. But he will make atonement for his land and his people. No, covering it, protecting it. So Moses came with Joshua, the son of Nun, and spoke all the words of this song in the hearing of the people. Again, I use this color over and over and over again because I want you to understand that his people, his servants, his people, all the way up as we went through this, all Israel, it's going to say in the next verse, or a couple more verses, is Israel's seed. This is who the song's about. He concludes, Moses finished speaking all these words to all Israel. And he said, set your hearts on all the words which I testify among you today. Here, that's the same word we keep seeing, hayom, which you have commanded your seed, to be careful to observe. And he's talking to Israel's seed, telling us to command our seed, our sons, to be careful to observe all the words of this Torah. For it is not a futile thing for you, because it is your life. And by this word you shall prolong your days in the land which you cross over the Jordan to possess. Oh my. This is not a futile thing. Here's the word they use for futile, rake. Futile, vain, worthless, vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. What profit has a man from his labor? Is that the same word? Yeah. No, it's a different word, but same idea. What profit has a man from his labor in which he toils under the sun? One generation passes away, another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. They do not consider their latter end. These men are wise ones who have considered their latter end, yes. Oh, that they would be wise, that they would understand, that they would consider their latter end. Then Yehovah spoke to Moses again the very same day. What day is this? We'll see it next week again. Very same day, saying, go up to the mountain of Avarim. Mount Nebo, the mountain of Avarim. Remember, the Avarim is the Avarim range. Mount Nebo is one of the mountains in the Avarim range, so this makes sense, which is in the land of Moab across from Jericho. View the land of Canaan, which I give to Israel's seed as a possession. So here we're using Israel's seed again. This is one of the 10 times that it's used in all of Deuteronomy. He says, and I on the mountain which you ascend, and be gathered to your people, just as Aaron your brother died on Mount Hor and was gathered to his people. Again, I have to remind you, what or why was Yehovah so unwilling concerning Moses not going into the land? Here's what I think. I think he violated a shadow picture that was important to Yehovah. And by making such a big deal out of it here, remember, he's saying it over and over, you're not going to go into the land. Moses earlier said, I'm not going to be going into the land. Here he's saying it again. What did Moses do wrong? I said, see topic called Moses' sin, and the very next verse. Oh, here. Why did he die? I said it was the very next verse. Because you trespassed against me concerning Israel's seed at the water of Meribah, Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because you did not hallow me in the midst of Israel's seed. Do you remember what happened? He was supposed to speak to the rock with the rod. Yehovah said, go get the rod. He had to go all the way back to the tabernacle. It was in the ark, I think. Took it back out. Brought it out. He was supposed to take that rod and speak to the rock. But he hit the rock instead. He did it once. He was supposed to do it the first time at Mount Horeb. But this time, he hit the rock instead of speaking to the rock. And I think it violates the shadow picture that Israel's seed is going to have. Remember, no longer will they say, great is Yehovah who brought Israel's seed out of the land of Egypt, but great is Yehovah who brought Israel's seed out of the north and out of all the places where he has scattered them. The first Moses had the staff. But in the last days, he's raising up servants like Moses who are going to represent him, and Israel's seed is going to come to them. There's not enough rods to go around. There's only one rod of Elohim. Moses had it. But he was supposed to speak to the rock, and he didn't. And so we get refocused back on this same picture every time. I think this is why. We are going to speak things. We talk about, here, Isaiah 11. We'll come back to this verse. Isaiah 11. But the righteousness he shall give, this is verse 4. Yes. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor and decide with equity the meek of the earth. This is the plural he, the male child, the shoot or the twig, the branch of Jesse, the banner in the wilderness. This is the same man. Men, really. With righteousness he shall judge the poor and decide with equity the meek of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. There it is, the rod of his mouth. And with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. It was violating a shadow picture, and Yehovah wanted to have Moses do it with just his mouth the second time. And I think it's about the second bringing out of Israel's seed from Egypt, bringing them back to their land. Let's go back. Last verse. Yeah, you shall see the land before you. This is Moses. He gets to see the land. He's going to go up to the mountain and die. Why? Because you trespassed. Yeah, you shall see the land before you. Before thee. It has to be thee, doesn't it? It's Moses. Though thou shalt not go there into the land which I am giving to Israel's seed. Well, we have to stop here. 142. We have two more chapters, 33 and 34. They're really quite brief chapters. One of them is anyway. I guess 33 is a little bit longer. 34 is... no, I guess 34 is actually pretty long too. No, I was thinking it was shorter. We're going to get through it next week. We'll get through both of these. But we still are going to cover Yasher before we finish this Torah series. All right. Well, hey, thank you for joining me today. I'm so glad you were here. Remember, all these classes are on YouTube. Look for Genesis 1. I think it's called... Do a search on YouTube for this. 2G01. 2G01. You'll find the very first teaching on the Torah. And then continue from there. I want these lessons to be available long after I'm gone. I'm hoping I won't be gone. I'm hoping that I'll be raised up and brought in. He says, those who wait upon Yehovah shall renew their strength. They shall walk and not be weary. They shall run and not faint. I want to be one of those men that Yehovah raises up in the last days. But if I'm not, perhaps these teachings will help men and women learn their created purpose on the earth, even after I'm gone. Yehovah, please use these for your glory, to raise up your image and your kingdom in the earth. Hey, thank you for joining me. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.